are Flamers of Tzeentch cooking with gas in patch 6.3.4. Every so often, I want to check on a unit like this to see if shortcomings plaguing it in other iterations of the game were improved any. Yeah, I'd say some good stuff is going on here. Seeing is believing if you can make anything out through all that blue warp flame. Oh well, that's what the after battle screens are for. Recruit for 850 gold, equivalent, and 213 upkeep. On Ultra, this gets you 12 entities with 3084 health between them, plus 750 barrier hit points. This comes after my videos on Horrors units. Note how utterly flimsy the health is. Armor is 10, fitting their wispy paper-like appearance, but physical resistance 20% can be some solace. Leadership 60 is okay for a demonic unit, but health damage will dent that fast. Speed 50 and charge speed 60 are actually quite decent, so this is a good unit for flanking around the sides of engaged lines. Melee attack begins at 28, which is a ton better than Blue Horrors, and each attack not only inflicts flaming and magical attack, but also inflicts Warp Flame as a contact effect. What does that do? This inflicts armor minus 10 and fire weakness 10% for 10 seconds. Weakness is its own stat, so while fire resistance can't go below 0%, weakness can rise way up. This means every flaming attack, including from the flamers themselves, now hits harder, and will stack with Kindle Flame and what have you. Attack interval is 4 seconds, splash target size is medium, so Empire Knights on down, and max target splashed is a very generous 4, so they dilute damage and spread it around a lot. Melee defense starts at 12. Thus, they are paper cannons in melee, and melee attack 28 wasn't that high. Weapon strength 46 is split base 12 and armor piercing 32, which is a lot of AP, but the weapon strength isn't that high, but it's inflicting warp flame. Keep that in mind. Charge bonus is 8 and mass is 700, so they will not get run over by chariots since they are large targets, but yeah, they're not going to prosper in melee, they're just not meant to. That's because it's really a missile monster unit. For ranged, ammunition 12 is your standard value, and in a long battle, this will dry up. You will pay for every less than ideal stream of fire, but it's just part of the show. Range 90 is what you'd expect from a stream of fire attack. Nominal damage of 304 looks nice, but we know flamers are wonky, but the distance version is also flaming, magical attack, and warp flame, so it self-buffs its damage. Each supposed impact inflicts base 5 and armor piercing 13 damage. There is a detonation radius of 3 meters, so 6 meter diameter per stream per flamer, and within that, base 3 and AP 6 explosion damage. But the key here is that there are 9 shots, quote-unquote, per full volley. Bear with me. It says artillery trajectory, but it's arcing, it's direct fire. Ahem. The point is that big fat shields do nothing, like the ones those Slaanesh guys have, even though they'll work on horror fireballs just fine. Reload time is 8 seconds by default, keeping pace with the horrors, but of course, the actual attacks aren't instant. It's like spell channeling in an MMO. Total accuracy is 20 as standard to start. Calibration distance 40 meters means that the natural spread is wider past that. Calibration area 1.4 meters means that, in spite of what I just said, accuracy against individual characters will be uncannily good, but worse the closer you are to maximum range. And there is no, I repeat, no multi-target penetration. Which means that the first thing they hit, be it the ground or an enemy, the flames do their explosion thingy. Of note for the traits, we have Demonic and Causes Fear. We do not have Hide in Forest. If that's a concern, too bad. For the Redline skills, for Mortal Chaos Lords we don't have double dipping because they're not infantry. Warp Fire at 3 pips grants speed plus 6%, melee defense plus 8, which is interesting because they sound really bad, and missile strength plus 12%, very important. At rank 7, Malevolent Ranger gives armor plus 10, real time reduction 10%, and missile resistance 15%. It's all useful. For Tzeentch Demonic Lords, 3 pips in many colored fires gives range plus 10% and missile strength plus 8%. The range increase is interesting. At rank 7, Incendiary Assault would add leadership plus 6, missile strength plus 12%, and spell resistance plus 15%. In the mainline Tzeentch tech tree, all we get is Warp Flame formula, reducing upkeep by 9% and increasing missile strength by 9%. It's a help, but we're clearly following a philosophy of not fixing what isn't fundamentally broken. Rank 7 and up could get a total of plus 29% missile strength after all. So how do we use Flamers of Tzeentch? My motivation for looking at the video here, despite the flood of bright fire, is to address the height of the streams. Certain units in the game have historically had a propensity to fire too high and be better at roasting crypt horrors than Skaven slaves. So how do I feel about it here? I feel they did okay. I feel Longbeards got roasted quite a bit, and to what extent Chaos Warriors loyal to Tzeentch were roasted too, science demanded it. So it's all good. Point is, they are flimsy, but they dish out a ton of damage, and they and horrors basically serve two sides of the coin. Short-range, catastrophic anti-armor damage versus medium-range, base-heavy damage, and much more toughness, relative to this at least. Actually, at the very end of that dwarf's fight, the Flamers ran out of ammo. It gave me a clip of them mixing it up in melee, but they're lucky that was the final blow needed to break the morale the rest of the way. Flamers are good enough at enough things that if you can create the spacing for them to attack, they should perform well for you. I'm not seeing identical issues as in the old days, though it's incremental. So what about Warflame? As I said, it self-buffs the Flamers, but also makes ranged and melee from blue, pink, and other horrors do more damage, both by making the base damage hit harder and by 10% fire weakness. You don't need any Winds of Magic to make this work either, so if you can't do Kindle Flame, at least have sources of Warp Flame to increase your damage. You owe it to yourself. Aside from that, if desperate, yes, it is legit to charge the Flamers in. You'll lose them easily, but they can hit a few things in melee, like Budget Kadai Fireborn. They're there for offense, and in the long run, you can always get more of them. Take care, and have fun setting the world on fire. It's better than setting Fallout 4 on fire.